have not read this. The chat, the chat and Twitter. I put a poll up on Twitter, and I was like, "Do I read this? Like,
there should be
pre-read it?"
there should be a footnote right here, that there should be a footnote drop that says the leader of the LawTube is often referred to as the Pope, Nick Requena.
Well,
That's just, yeah, that's great.
hang on. So I gave a chat. I gave a poll out to the chat of whether I pre-read this in advance, and with 732 votes in, the the votes were 85.4% that I read it live and not pre-read or screen any of this. So I have not seen this yet. This is a extremely generous super chat for a very interesting question. Thank you, A. O'Connor, for being here. New here. Are these guys drunk? No. What's happening here? Reading. Not sure if I'm in an educational or theatrical forum.
Why
You're
not
in a
both?
little bit of both. So this is a channel we break down law and we discuss things about the law. And then on this particular show, Friday Night Frenzy, we have a little bit of fun breaking down what happened in the week. And we get to do it with a little bit of a light sense of humor, and we get to have some fun doing it, which sometimes when we're reading cases like this involves some theatrical voices. It happens from time to time, and I hope that you enjoy the content. If you don't, you are free to depart. If you do, I very much appreciate your presence being here, and please feel free to engage with the chat. They're lovely people. This particular lawsuit that we're reading through is a lawsuit that was filed by one of our colleagues, Nate the lawyer, against Christopher Bouzy, who runs Bot Sentinel. Bot Sentinel created essentially an online campaign. After one of us kind of attacked their algorithm as being slightly inaccurate, Mr. Christopher Bouzy went rather personal in his attack of myself, Joe Neerman, Ian Runkle, and Nate the lawyer, as well as several others, Natalie Lawyer Chick. I think he kind of attacked everybody. And this lawsuit was something that Mr. Bouzy threatened Nate. He said he would never have the courage to file. And Nate said, no, you actually said that I was not a lawyer. You defamed me publicly, and I'm going to file a lawsuit. The lawsuit was filed by one of our colleagues, Ron Coleman, from the Dillon Law Firm, a very reputable First Amendment attorney who has argued in front of the Supreme Court of the United States, who filed this lawsuit. This is our first glance of the lawsuit. So I hope you're caught up to speed, and I'm very glad to have you here. Thank you very much for the generous super chat and the question, and giving me the opportunity to catch you up and catch everyone else up to where we are. Why we might be reading this theatrically is because there's a lot of this is rather humorous if you really think about it. So we're going to continue with the reading, and thank you for being here. And again, thank you for the super chat. That was not meant to be facetious or sarcastic at all. That was very much just to bring everyone up to speed on where we are, why we're here, and why you're going to hear Eeyore, Optimus Prime, English, Old Virginian, Blackleaf, the character from Lawyers and Dragons, and all of the other fun characters that we like to portray when we're reading something comical. Okay, you ready for the next topic? This is the fun one.
Yeah, I haven't seen this yet, so I'm excited to learn about this.
So, for those of you who don't know, Mr. Christopher Bouzy, who runs Bot Sentinel, got into a tiff with Nate the lawyer, including and a tiff with me myself, and tweeted some very not nice things about me and Nate, and possibly some defamatory things. And he doubled down and threatened and said, Nate, you're not going to sue me, blah, 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 all the nasty comments and things, and dared Nate to sue him. Well, Nate, the lawyer, did just that. And you know what's great about it is the lawsuit dropped today. So here's the lawsuit. Kurt, dramatic reading, if you will.
The plaintiff, Nathaniel Brody, is a former university police officer of the city of New York, a member of the New York Bar, a former Bronx County Assistant District Attorney, and former law school instructor, who creates and operates a YouTube channel under the name Nate the Lawyer, which can be found at www.youtube.com/c/Nate the Lawyer. The Nate the Lawyer channel, or the channel. The purpose of the Nate the Lawyer channel is to make the law more accessible to people. Since its founding in 2014, the Nate the Lawyer channel has collected over 27.6 million views. It currently has approximately 255,000 subscribers. I have now run out of words to read on the page. Rob is now scrolling for me, so I have more words to read. Thank you. Defendant Christopher Bouzy is a serial failed entrepreneur, spicy, and in the opinion of many, a serial successful swindler. Bouzy is a resident of North Bergen, having an address which I will not read. He is the chief executive officer of Bot Sentinel, a domestic for-profit corporation of the state of New Jersey. The court has jurisdiction over this action because the defendant is a resident of the state of New Jersey and the conduct complained of took place in the state of New Jersey, causing harm to plaintiff Nathaniel Brody in the state. The venue is proper in Hudson County because the defendant is a resident of this county. Facts applicable to all claims.
Dude, we are at paragraph 3, and this is already spicy.
I'm enjoying my reading.
You may continue.
Excellent. Live streaming and LawTube. The Nate the Lawyer, apparently LawTube is now official enough to be mentioned in a court filing. Fantastic.
It is in a court filing. Thank you, Ron Coleman.
Great. Live streaming and LawTube. The Nate the Lawyer channel is best known for its live streams and videos on demand, which are transmissions of video and audio over the internet by channel hosts who attract viewers to their programs by virtue of expertise, personality, guest selection, or other qualities, such as me being there because I'm awesome. The channel focuses on both pre-recorded videos and real-time live coverage of events of widespread interest, an increasingly popular form of live streaming. One attraction to live streaming is that it allows viewers to participate in the program through messages and interactions sent to the chat screens. This running commentary is visible to all participants in a chat window shown next to the viewer's window on the viewer's computer screen. A super chat is a paid message that, in exchange for payment by the viewer, makes the viewer's chat comment more colorful and eye-catching, and more likely to be responded to by the livestream host than ordinary comments. While new comments in the chat window displace older comments, super chats are special and rise to the top of the chat window. The purchase amount determines the duration of the pinned comment. For a $5 payment, the super chat comment stays stuck on the chat screen for 2 minutes. Larger amounts stay visible longer. For less than $5, a comment still stands out, but disappears as usual. Popular live streamers are able to generate significant income through super chats as well as other monetization mechanisms offered by YouTube. This would be your occasion to remind Rob of this fact by, for example, super chatting right now.
Please, you don't have to.
Through his work on the Nate the Lawyer channel, Plaintiff is part of an informal group of experienced lawyers with law-oriented YouTube channels who live stream, often as a group appearing on one channel, legal commentary, and discussion often referred to as LawTube. If this complaint says that Nick Rekieta is the Pope of LawTube, I am going to laugh like crazy. The members of YouTube are highly diverse in terms of seniority, legal specialty, political viewpoint, race, religion, and sex. That's described in a May 26, 2022 article in the Los Angeles Times. Live streams of sensational trials accessible to in-court cameras, such as the November 2021 criminal trial of Kyle Rittenhouse, have become a new and arguably dominant way for internet users to watch these live trials. As a result, and as described in the same article, such live streams represent important opportunity for LawTube streamers to realize significant growth in subscriber viewership and engagement measures. He's giving away our trade secrets, man. These in turn have the potential to increase the prominence of given streamer's channel, such as through enhanced search results, as well as to generate revenue. Live streams by LawTubers and other live streamers depend on, for their popularity in large part, on how potential viewers perceive the host's experience, professional knowledge, and above all, credibility. Or in the case of Rob, his handsome, handsome face.
Oh, thank you. Let's give Kurt a break. We're going to do the next one, and because I believe that popular demand has insisted that we do it in the Virginia accent, and because it's legal filing, we just have to. Following the success of the LawTubers' coverage of the Rittenhouse trial, the group coalesced around coverage of the sensational defamation trial that pitted movie star Johnny Depp against his former wife, the actress Amber Heard. Depp's defamation claim was based on her publication on the Washington Post opinion page of claims that she was physically abused by Mr. Depp. Depp prevailed at trial. As the case ramped up towards a verdict, however, a celebrity-obsessed public was riveted by the scandalous nature of the claims by such high-profile entertainers combined with this normally strong appetite for legal drama. To some extent, however, public sentiment concerning the case divided along political and cultural lines because Heard's claims represented a high point in the sway of the hashtag #MeToo movement, a social trend that focused attention on the widespread abuse of women by men in positions of power and influence, especially in the entertainment field. Indeed, the trial was described by many commentators as a tipping point in the battle between extreme poles that had formed around the Me Too movement. The Washington Post, for example, printed a column in June stating, Dixon was alarmed by the, quote, giddy derision, end quote, that seemed to follow Heard. In particular, she had hoped to avoid the trial altogether, but when her 17-year-old daughter showed her a pro-Depp meme, despite not knowing much about him prior to the trial, Dixon realized how much it had permeated popular culture. The live-streamed trial was widely followed by observers online, and social media was overwhelmed by Depp fans who felt he could do no wrong. While Believe Women never became a rallying cry some wanted it to be, more women began to believe they would be believed. Many experts in the field of gender discrimination and domestic violence, however, fear that the Depp v. Heard verdict and the online harassment of Heard in the trial leading up to it could shake the confidence of women who might have otherwise come forward with allegations of abuse and slow or reverse the momentum created by hashtag #MeToo. Similarly, the Hollywood Reporter wrote, quote, at the height of the Time's Up movement, stars rallied in support of women. During high-profile cases against the likes of Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby, the absence of such solidarity today has some hashtag #MeToo proponents worried about the future of the movement. These concerns about solidarity were well taken, as demonstrated by the running commentary from members of the LawTube panel. Notwithstanding the diversity of political and cultural perspectives among members of the group, as the trial wore on, the virtually unanimous opinion among the LawTube was that the harsh glare of the courtroom and the skill of Depp's legal team had left Heard's credibility, appeal, and chances in tatters. True. The sentiments were well represented by a description of a moment reported in the Los Angeles Times article cited above during LawTuber Emily D. Baker, the Emily D.
Shout
Baker's live stream, shout out, of the Depp-Heard trial to her live 128,000 live concurrent viewers. The purple-haired Baker, I like that phrase. The purple-haired Baker is a seemingly natural ally of the hashtag #MeToo advocates, having told the Times reporter, quote, I hope that as a female attorney streamer that has worked in the criminal context, I can bring not just sensitivity to the topic, but also asking the appropriate questions if the evidence doesn't match the testimony in the most compassionate way possible. There's just a way to have that conversation without being hateful, end quote. Baker was not, however, prepared to go beyond empathy and sensitivity to giving her viewers her straight take regarding Heard's and her lawyer's performance in the courtroom as described in the article. Begin block quote. Emily D. Baker is exasperated. In the penultimate week of the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp defamation trial, Baker at times rises from her seat in her home studio or fans herself with a small blue book of the federal rules of evidence as she delivers a steaming critique of Heard's attorney, Elaine Rederhoff. Quote, this is preposterous, Elaine. You do not do speaking objections, Baker 44 sees as red lights flash to indicate another 1,000 subscribers have signed up for her channel. A so-called super chat message flashes across the stream from a viewer who paid $10 to let the audience know she thinks the judge is being too easy on Rederhoff. Quote, this is a mess, and the jury is going to see it's a mess, Baker adds. Baker was right, as were the other LawTubers. The jury returned a verdict of $15 million for Mr. Depp.
Christopher Bouzy, serial entrepreneur. On his personal website, ChristopherBouzy.com, Bouzy describes himself as a serial entrepreneur, software engineer, and political maven. Words cannot express the feeling you get when building a product with a keyboard and mouse and then release it to the world for millions of people to use. On information and belief, defendant Bouzy is not a software engineer. His LinkedIn profile, however, does describe him as being employed as a computer service technician for the New York City Department of Education from September 1998 through November 2000. On information and belief, defendant Bouzy has never released a virtual product that's been used by millions of people. A previous company of his called CompCore, however, did release 4 programs: Wallet Cloak, a system for encrypting and hiding cryptocurrency wallets; Music Chow, a free music downloading application; Byte Bounty, a fun and easy way to discover new apps and games while getting rewarded; and Byte, the first peer-to-peer rewards network powered by blockchain technology, which, by every indication, has all been used by virtually no one.
Ron. Okay. Come on, Ron.
Because he's a serial entrepreneur. Bouzy's CompCore was not his first failed venture. That distinction belongs to Insight Concepts, which in 2003 issued a press release making the following astounding claims. New face of software. New York-based company Insight Concepts redefines the term unique software. PR Web, August 31st, 2003. Today, Christopher Bouzy, the CEO of Insight Concepts, announced that the company is weeks away from releasing software that will successfully determine if a person is telling the truth or not. The company has completely designed the software for the average home user, and boasts if you can click the mouse, then you can use the software. Software engineers from the company claim the software can effectively detect slight anomalies in the human voice when someone is lying or telling the truth, and the software has a 95% success rate. While some experts question the morality of using such software, 2/3 of the 1,500 Americans said they would use the software at least once. In the back of everyone's mind, we often wonder if the person we are dating has something to decide. The software now gives the person the ability to finally determine if the partner is being completely honest, said Christopher. The 28-year-old CEO started the company in 2000 to develop software other developers were not interested in developing. Insight Concepts has made its success developing less than common software for home and business consumer, and the company has reported annual gross profits of $3.5 million in download and CD-ROM sales. The company released a new version of their award-winning software, Cloak. Cloak is a stenography encryption application that allows users to encrypt and hide files within image files. I was permitted to take Cloak for a test drive, and I was impressed with the 5-minute learning curve of the software. I was able to navigate through the steps and successfully encrypt a file without ever consulting the manual. Given the excessive cost and limited features of traditional software,
you're Optimus Prime
offer a competitive alternative at a lower price.
Oh, okay. All right. We're gonna okay. All right. Here you go. It's still your paragraph.
Despite the claimed success of this unique, if not morally troubling, software release, Insight Commons was dissolved by the state of New York in June of 2004. Bouzy first achieved notoriety, however, on another crowdfunding project, a cryptocurrency called Blackcoin. Hi, friends! Shortly after joining one such forum, BitcoinTalk.org, in March of 2014, under the iconic Express username, Bouzy introduced himself as a software engineer who was working with friends in the finance industry about a new product. specifically a non-reloadable or single-use cryptocurrency-based payment to be called Blackcoin. Wow! Shortly thereafter, iconic experts started to use the forum to solicit donations, which he said would be used to help cover costs of the writing and distributing press releases to help support Blackcoin in the market, which he did several weeks later. Well, golly gee whiz, that sounds exciting.
Jesus Christ. Oh, do another one. I can't with the black leaf. Go back to
By
something
early
else.
May, supporters and investors and purchasers of Blackcoin cards were turning against iconic expert, all doesn't sound nice, who is accused of trying to control and censor the group, misstating his credentials and misusing donations. Well, golly gee, that doesn't sound like a nice thing to do. Despite claims by Bouzy that actual cards had been shipped, Bouzy never disputed online claims that most purchasers never received them. Well, golly gee whiz, guys, Bouzy doesn't seem to be following through. That makes me sad.
Oh, okay. You got 2 paragraphs left. Don't give yourself
Bouzy, however, refused to refund any money and eventually walked away from the Blackcoin product, which subsequently recovered at the end of his involvement. Bouzy, being a serial entrepreneur, was also involved in controversy involving accusations of unethical pumping. Well, Blackleaf likes pumping, otherwise known as pump and dump schemes. Sounds like my weekend, involving 2 other cryptocurrencies, Liberty Coin and Byteset. Well, golly gee, guys, he might not be the nicest person.
Oh, okay. I'm dying. Hang on. Let's see the second. All right. Now it's my turn. Oh, Kurt, you're going to need an Advil after that, man. Whew. Okay. All right.
Now saying that in Blackleaf's voice was fucking hilarious.
That was great. That was fantastic. I died. Like I don't know how you did that for the full paragraph. Whew. Okay, you went from like British to Optimus Prime to Blackleaf. Ah, gosh. Okay, Bot Sentinel, and we're gonna do. Let's do newscaster's voice. Bot Sentinel. In 2018, defendant Bouzy turned his attention to it and his crowdfunding away from cryptocurrency to social media. Although formed as a New Jersey for-profit operation, defendant Bot Sentinel solicits donations, stating on its website, quote, Bot Sentinel is a crowd-funded project, and if you want to help us continue our mission of making social media platforms safer, please consider contributing today. Bot Sentinel, however, is not only crowdfunded, it has been paid by some well-known clients like Meghan Markle, Pete Buttigieg, former FBI lawyer Lisa Page, and Amber Heard. It becomes obvious why Amber Heard engaged Bot Sentinel once the difference between what it claims to be and what it is made clear. Bot Sentinel is a service Bouzy founded in 2018 that describes itself as, quote, helping fight disinformation and targeted harassment on Twitter. Quote, we believe, end quote, according to the service's website, that, quote, Twitter users should be able to engage in healthy online discourse without inauthentic accounts, toxic trolls, foreign countries, and organized groups manipulating the conversation. Well, that sounds like not what they do. Okay, Bot Sentinel describes itself as free, nonpartisan platform developed to classify and track inauthentic accounts. They don't do that. And toxic trolls. They also don't do that. The platform uses machine learning and artificial intelligence to classify Twitter accounts and then adds the accounts to a publicly available database that anyone can browse, basically social credit score. Bot Sentinel claims for Bot Sentinel's claims for its technology, that is, the ability to detect and rank, quote, bots on Twitter, has been taken for granted by a number of non-technical publications, but others have raised significant questions about the application. While the name, quote, Bot Sentinel suggests that it flags automated Twitter accounts known as, quote, bots, the Bot Sentinel website itself explains its operation as follows. Bot Sentinel uses machine learning and artificial intelligence to classify suspicious Twitter accounts, and then we store those accounts in a database to track each account daily. We use the data we collect to understand how these accounts affect public discourse and how we can manage their negative influence. Our team developed our machine learning model using 2,500 ordinary Twitter accounts tweeting about politics, current news, and other various topics. We also used 2,500 troll bot accounts that we identified by examining the text of their tweets. In total, we used a combined 5 million tweets from ordinary and trollbot accounts to build our model. Notwithstanding the use of impressive, quote, high tech terms such as machine learning and, quote, artificial intelligence, much in the description said above of what Bot Sentinel does hinges on an understanding of the term, quote, troll bots. Oh, Ron, what is this word? Neologism? Neologism coined by Bot Sentinel. I'm going to have to learn that one. Thanks, Ron. On its website, Bot Sentinel defines troll bots as human-controlled accounts who exhibit toxic troll-like behavior. Some of these accounts frequently retweet known propaganda and fake news accounts, and they engage in repetitive bot-like activity. There's very little that has either actually high-tech or rigorous about this definition, including, as it does, subjective and indeed highly contentious categories such as toxic troll-like behavior, propaganda, and fake news. Yeah, those are subjective terms. The same is true of the claim in the original description that the statistical baseline for normal or non-troll bot Twitter engagement was set by applying machine learning to a set of 2,500, quote, ordinary Twitter accounts. How do you define ordinary? You're weird. In fact, notwithstanding numerous claims on its website that Bot Sentinel is, quote, nonpartisan, apolitical, and unbiased, its reliance on vague, loaded, and subjective terms, thank you for highlighting that, Ron, suggests otherwise and support the widely held view that Bot Sentinel is less concerned with bots than with political views. Indeed, the reliability of Bot Sentinel's usefulness as a Twitter bot detector has been dismissed by the one other entity in the best position to know, Twitter. Oh, shots fired. In May 2020, blog post Yoel Roth, Twitter's head of safety and integrity, and Nick Pickles, the company's director of global public policy and strategy and development, wrote as follows. Now, these people, are they still the head of these positions? We don't know. We'll find that out later. There are many commercial services that purport to offer insights on bots and their activity online, and frequently their focus is entirely on Twitter due to the free data we provide. Unfortunately, the research is rarely peer-reviewed and often does not hold up to scrutiny, further confusing the public's understanding of what's really happening. What about tools like Botometer and Bot Sentinel? Actually called out in the freaking Twitter, they called them out directly. These tools start with a human looking at an account, often using the same public account information you can see on Twitter, and identifying characteristics that make it a bot. So in essence, the account name, the level of tweeting, the location in the bio, the hashtags used, etc. This is an extremely limited approach. This is damning. As mentioned, an account with a strange handle is often someone who was automatically recommended that username because their real name was taken at sign up. An account with no photo or location may be someone who has personal feelings on online privacy or whose use of Twitter may expose them to risk, like an activist or a dissident. Don't like to add much of a bio or your location to your account, question mark. Some of us at Twitter don't either. Even if all these public details are put into a machine learning model to try to probabilistically predict if an account is bought, when they rely on human analysis of a public account information, that process contains biases from the start. Wow, Ron, you're trying to you're not just doing the defamation thing, you're trying to kill Bot Sentinel. I'm here for it, buddy. Wow. Okay, let's take some other everyday examples for clarity. Someone who tweets 100 times a day with hashtag Super Bowl could be just an extremely engaged individual who loves football or hates if their team is bad. If you care deeply about the environment and tweet about it at a certain political moment when you and your friends want to make an impact, you're not political bots. You're active citizens organizing an organic online campaign to drive change in your community. This entire thing destroys Bot Sentinel's credibility. These tools do not account for these common Twitter use cases, how far we've come, and how things have evolved. As a result, nuance can be lost. The outcome, binary judgments of who's a bot or not, which have potential to poison our public discourse, particularly when they are pushed out through the media. Holy shit. This is Twitter. Twitter, this is their own statement, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Bot Sentinel, in other words, does not rely on machine learning or other technology any more than its creator, Christopher Bouzy. Here we go. Here's Mr. Bouzy. Learned how to be a software engineer when he was repairing computers for New York City Education Department.
Ooh, that's rough. I'm not sure you caught that.
Caught it.
Yeah.
Caught it.
That's wow.
Shade.
Bouzy
did, however, learn how to employ catchphrases, techno gobbledygook. Ron, you put gobbledygook in a pleading. Cheers to you, my man. Sleight of hand and a healthy dose of crowdfunding to throw up a cyber smokescreen festooned with enough bells and whistles to enchant the untechnical and uncurious. This was and is Bot Sentinel.
I see Ron had fun with his thesaurus.
This paragraph, I think I would frame that. I don't know.
Is.
And someone's asking, what happened to Nate though? Nate's coming in this. Like we're working. I'm working as fast as I can. This is shots fired. And let's see. You guys asked that I read this thing like normally and quickly. I'm going to pull it up in another window and see if there's anything I can skip to, because it is a long pleading. Bot Sentinel also raises Twitter accounts as either normal, satisfactory, disruptive, or problematic. Bouzy claims the name Bot Sentinel means autonomous guard. In other words, we use good bot to help identify and guard against inauthentic accounts and toxic trolls. That also includes automated accounts that violate Twitter's note rules. Bot Sentinel classifies a lot more than just bots. Because of this subjectivity, however, Bot Sentinel's ratings are widely inconsistent. For example, Bot Sentinel recently ranked the Twitter account at @AlexThe_A as solidly normal, as shown below at left, despite its documented and frequent use of hate speech and offensive epithets, as shown in the illustration below at right. Yeah, a lot of hateful stuff. We're not going to say that. At the same time, Bot Sentinel's rated plaintiff's Twitter account, Nate the Lawyer, which uses neither racial nor other slurs or calls for violence or death against any person or ethnic group, as, quote, disruptive on information and belief. Mr. Brody's disruptive rating is based on little more than the personal preferences, biases. Ron, typo. I'm shocked and amazed and disappointed. But also,
I also have to chide him because he doesn't believe in the Oxford comma.
That's bothering me too. I'm not going to say anything for it now because this is pretty badass. Or a little more than the personal preferences, biases, or agenda of defendant Christopher Bouzy. There should be a comma there, right here, right there, comma. In other words, while Bot Sentinel gives the impression of rigorous empirical analysis of social media phenomena, it is in fact little more than a disguised digital attack dog. True. It is for this very reason Amber Heard's team used Bot Sentry as a linchpin of a media campaign that would blame a secret network of misogynists utilizing bots and platform manipulation, and not the revelations about her conduct that emerged during the Depp-Heard trial or the jury verdict as reason for Heard's plummeting reputation. All right, it's your turn. We have a lot of pages to read.
I don't want to, but I'll give it a try. On July 25th, 2020, the Times of London published an article entitled Deep Head Wages Cyber War and Amber Heard. Depp heads are obsessive fans of Johnny Depp. The source of the claim that 13 active inauthentic accounts have been recently created specifically to target the Twitter account of Miss Heard was Bot Sentinel. On May the 3rd, 2022, Rolling Stone magazine, the former counterculture Bible best known in recent times for its own failed defamation defense arising out of a 2014 article about a supposed gang rape.
Kurt, if you don't get out of Eeyore, I'm going to freeze this. I'm going to take over. Get out of Eeyore.
Published an article entitled "Are Johnny Amber Stands for Real? Cruel taunts, slanderous comments, and ugly death threats on social media has some wondering if the forward couple's online supporters are human beings at all."
Stands are obsessive
Are
fans.
obsessive fans. Hey, I went back. I went back.
Yeah, thank you, Rod. I like that. The sum referred to. Yeah.
Have I been demoted?
No, you haven't. Keep going. I just like that one sentence.
The sum referred to in the Rolling Stone subtitle was Bot Sentinel. On July the 18th of 2022, entertainment website The Wrap published an article entitled "Internet Trolls Inflated Amber Heard's Hate on Twitter. Social media research firm finds Bot Sentinel found 672 accounts solely aimed at spreading hate towards Amber Heard." That same day, Variety published an article entitled "Amber Heard's Supporters Target of Widespread Harassment on Twitter," according to a firm once hired by Heard's lawyers. That firm was Bot Sentinel. Also on July the 18th of 2022, the UK Independent published an article entitled "Amber Heard Subjected to One of the Worst Cases of Cyberbullying During Johnny Depp Trial, Study Finds." Report looked at anti-Heard Twitter campaigns during the defamation trial with her ex-husband. The report referred to by the Independent was brought by Amber Heard from defendant Bot Sentinel.
Bouzy guns for LawTube. And just because of that, we're going to go right back to Virginian.
Okay.
In September of 2022, Bouzy turned his censorious attention to LawTube, who, as set forth above, had been critical of the defense presented by Bot Sentinel's high-profile client, Amber Heard. Various LawTubers, including plaintiff, had also taken to sharing critical takes of the widely reported Bot Sentinel claims of widespread troll bot activity engaged in coordinated social media attacks on Heard. Bouzy, offended by the criticism, started using his Twitter account to focus attention on LawTubers he deemed guilty of the same kind of toxic troll-like behavior, propaganda, and fake news he deemed inappropriate on Twitter, and demanding that YouTube delete their accounts. True story, he did that to a lot of us. On September 17, 2022, Bouzy set his sights on plaintiff. That would be Nate the lawyer, tweeting, "Next up is Nate the lawyer." This is after he attacked me personally. He went from being the son of two crackheads, his words, a drug dealer, his words, a cop, and a prosecutor, to attacking journalists and me on social media. You would think someone with a law enforcement background would know better. Side note, that is a direct quote from Christopher Bouzy, who quite literally put on social media that Nate the lawyer, went from being, this is Christopher Bouzy's words, went from being the son of two crackheads, referring to Nate's words, a drug dealer, again referring to Nate's words, a cop, and a prosecutor, to attacking journalists and me on social media. You would think someone with a law enforcement background would know better. That is Christopher Bouzy posting on Twitter. So for those of you who don't like nasty comments, here we go. Bouzy later deleted this tweet, as well as the tweets reproduced below, in which he doubled down on his attack of Mr. Broady's veracity and professional qualifications, publishing yet more tweets, also deleted later, insisting that Mr. Brody was lying about his credentials and would soon need a lawyer to defend himself against legal claims, and engaged in deceptive advertising below. Oh, Ron copied the stuff I sent him. Lovely. This was from a tweet that I posted. These are Christopher Bouzy's tweets about Nate the lawyer. Twitter should verify professional licenses, blah, blah, blah. He's not an attorney, yada, yada. Proceeding. As a self-described authority on Twitter trolling and manipulation, Bouzy was acutely cognizant of how the engagement he was generating on Twitter through his attacks on the popular Mr. Brody could be converted into an advertisement for himself and Bot Sentinel. So he published one in Christopher Bouzy's voice. While we wait on Nate the lawyer to locate his law license and links to the New York Times, Forbes, and NBC articles, I will share my New York Times, Forbes, and NBC articles. Highlight below, here's the links to New York Times, Forbes, and NBC. The next day, having learned that Mr. Brody is, in fact, a New York attorney, Bouzy conceded on Twitter that his earlier claim to the contrary was false. But Bouzy, who for years had falsely claimed to be a, quote, software engineer, repeated his assertion that even if the plaintiff really was a lawyer, he was still lying about having been a prosecutor. Right. Bouzy had no factual basis whatsoever for this claim. Eventually, other Twitter users accused Bouzy of either doxing plaintiff by revealing plaintiff's real name, which, like many social media users, Mr. Brody had chosen to keep private, or recklessly disregarded the truth of his repeated claims that plaintiff was lying about being a lawyer and a former prosecutor. Bouzy responded that his earlier misrepresentations about Mr. Brody were not, as some were suggesting, the result of mere negligence. Rather, Bouzy explained he had knowingly and willfully published these false statements in his 120,000 Twitter followers for tactical purposes. Tweet thread. Finally realizing he had been caught publishing a string of false and defamatory claims, Bouzy conceded the falsity of his claims about plaintiff's background and credentials. Bouzy wrapped these concessions, however, in a pathetic attempt to troll Mr. Brody by accusing the latter of being a Twitter troll and grifter. The latter epithet meaning that Mr. Brody engages in, quote, grift or financial fraud below. Even Bouzy, however.
No, wait a second. Scroll this up. I want to read this tweet because. Okay.
Here you
I
go.
want to read this tweet. Bouzy says he was a CUNY campus cop for 10 years. Sounds like a lot. And then he was admitted to their law school. He joined the DA's office in 2016. And 6 years later, which sounds like a lot, he became a Twitter troll and a YouTube grifter. Quite the resume. Now, I don't know about you, Rob, but that sounds like that sounds like a good resume.
That's a
I'm a
badass
cop
resume.
and former prosecutor. Well, I was a cop for 10 years and a prosecutor for 6. Sounds like a pretty good resume.
Yep. And I taught, that's a badass resume. I have no problem with that resume.
Then he taught at law school.
Yep.
So he says quite the resume sarcastically. And I'm like, did you not read what you just wrote, Chris?
Yep. Like I did all the things that give me the credentials to talk about law. I did all the things. And thank you for highlighting that for me. I very much appreciate that. Oh my, yeah. Okay. Even Bouzy, however, must have realized that these claims, while false and defamatory, were relatively anticlimactic compared to his earlier narrative of Nate the lawyer being no lawyer at all. Oh my. Bouzy, however, had another card up his sleeve. Oh, Ron, you little snake, look at you hiding that and just so...
The race card. Bouzy's weeks of attacking LawTube, and particularly Mr. Brody, had paid off well for Bot Sentinel's founder. His Twitter account and his audience for crowdfunding and self-promotion had grown by thousands over the same period. To keep the pot boiling, on September 21st, Bouzy played the trump card of social media engagement, the race card. According to Bouzy, Mr. Brody, an African-American, was jealous of the success Bouzy, had achieved, also an African-American, and criticism of Bouzy and his business were motivated by nothing more or less than a desire to fit in with his Caucasian peers. Yeah, I remember that. It's like we're really Uncle Tommying this thing. Wow.
He did. He went hard at this. This was terrible. This was terrible.
Grew up with black men like that. I knew the kid.
Do you want me to do the Bouzy voice for this one? I can do the Bouzy voice.
I'm not saying with it. Like the thing. I grew up with black men like Nathaniel Brady. Men like Nathaniel are not comfortable in their skin, so they go out their way to prove they're different and better. He's the type that would assault black women so he could fit in with his Caucasian peers. I'm Christopher Bouzy.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
You can read it.
I knew after his account was unlocked, he would continue attacking me because this was the most attention he had received in his entire life. He desperately wants to be relevant, and he will go out of his way to prove I am one of you by attacking someone who looks like him. Oh, I don't like this person.
This was not Bouzy's first time portraying himself as a martyr to the forces of radical prejudice to manipulate his social media audience. In May of 2019, Bouzy began a series of tweets published over the course of several weeks and revisited over the course of coming years, ascribing his landlord's insistence that Bouzy pay rent to racial animus. Like, for sure, a representative collection of these dozens of tweets, including the one suggesting comparison between his landlord claims and white slave master cruelty, for sure. Whipping up his cringing black slave is reproduced as Exhibit A. Like with the final copy of the order dated August the 20th, 2021, ordering Bouzy to pay back rent to the landlord in the amount of $10,560.78. That's $94 it costs.
Bouzy's claims of criminal conduct brought by Mr. Brody. On September 20th, 2022, Bouzy announced to his 100,000 plus Twitter audience that he had found the magic bullet that would fell Nate the lawyer, a supposed admission by Mr. Brody of morally reprehensible and felonious conduct, the planting of evidence on innocent criminal suspects, tweeting as shown below. New unearthed video of a former NYC cop and assistant district attorney Nathaniel Brody admitting he planted evidence as a cop, but also knew when cops brought suspects in with bogus evidence when he was ADA, every arrest and prosecution should be reinvestigated. Wow. That is a dangerous thing to say out loud. Like, you don't throw that on Twitter. You just don't do it. Like, that's like asking for the open reinvestigation. Okay.
I know, Rob. It's ridiculous.
Oh gosh, you have a female voice. This is terrible. It's fantastic. Okay. This was truly a stunning claim for Bouzy to unearth against Mr. Brody, a former police officer and criminal prosecutor, an admission so damning that Bouzy would not be deterred by the fact that Mr. Brody had, in fact, never made it. If one false and defamatory tweet was, from Mr. Bouzy's point of view, good, very, very good, for the purpose of destroying his bête noire, Nate the lawyer, wow, Ron, I don't, like, now I have to put this crap in my pleadings? This isn't fair. That's not fair. It stood to reason from his perspective that a series of or a thread of them would be even better. Thus, on the same date, Bouzy published just such a thread, taking on an attitude of what seemed to be, based on his claims of what the video said, the highest dudgeon and moral outrage as shown right. Every lawyer whose client was arrested by this criminal and prosecuted because of his evidence should petition the court for a new trial and have the conviction tossed out. He clearly stated that he planted the evidence. Think about how many innocent people's lives were ruined because of this guy. Someone could be sitting in prison right now for something they didn't do. And he is on YouTube bragging about committing a felony. He's bragging about it like it was nothing. Disgusting. The way he brags about planting evidence on video is shocking. How many men and women are sitting in prison because of bogus evidence because Nathaniel? He became an assistant district attorney in 2016, which wasn't that long ago. His law license should be suspended. These are his words. Anyone that would plant evidence on a suspect and no other cops were planting evidence as an assistant district attorney shouldn't be allowed to practice law.
Shouldn't be allowed to practice law. I'm considered busy.
That was hard to read, but I did. You heard the emphasis going up as I went through because I just imagined that he was melting down. He was writing that tweet thread. For anyone in the chat, everything that he just said is false, like demonstrably false. Nate never planted any evidence. There is no wrongful, any incarceration or conviction from what I can tell by any of it, period. So don't fret about anything that was serious to be read into that, because it wasn't serious. And that's why I took on that voice, because it shouldn't be. From what he seemed to have intended as his coup de grace. Ron, I don't like you. You're doing too much of this. Bouzy composed a tweet that featured not only a race treason angle, but also included a meme in which a white man is shown in a movie scene laughing at it with an African-American man, i.e. with an effigy of his internet rival, Nate the lawyer, over what readers were to understand were misdeeds as they had visited on African-American suspects. Wow. Okay. I know the meme he's talking about, but this description is epic. Imagine being a black man bragging and laughing about planting evidence on suspects. He became ADA and reported bad cops. So what? How many lives were ruined when he planted evidence as a cop? He casually admitted a felony on camera. For those of you who cannot see and listening only, this is a scene from the movie Django Unchained, where Samuel L. Jackson's character is speaking with Leo DiCaprio's character in the house. Samuel L. Jackson's character is not a very friendly person. And they are speaking and laughing colloquially, and the inference is rather significant, accusing Nate of being something that is remarkably racially charged and inappropriate. Bouzy was so pleased with that, with what he evidently believed was a perfect social media massacre of Mr. Brody, that he paid no heed to comments from other users questioning his take of what Mr. Brody was, quote, admitting in the video and suggesting that Bouzy's claim did not stand up to a complete reasonable viewing as shown below. A bunch of people saying this is terrible. As comments questioned Bouzy's interpretation began to pile up. In his replies, Bouzy slipped into a Bot Sentinel mode, describing Twitter users who had the temerity to disagree with his take as fake account. While fake accounts try to spin Nathaniel's words, what, quote, tricks would a cop use on a suspect? Why would a cop need, quote, tricks for a legitimate arrest? The next day, September 21st, 2022, Bouzy continued down his path, reiterating his false defamatory claim that Mr. Brody planted evidence on innocent suspects in the tweet shown below.
Why is Nathaniel lying to his followers? As that's the mayor of 20, that building networks, if they use perhaps because the university is planning evidence of innocent suspects. I could have worked anywhere, but I want to use my thoughts out my community. I'm Chris Bouzy. Yep.
And for those of you who didn't understand the words, you didn't need to, because that's about how coherent they were written. In this September 2021 tweet, Bouzy once again took the opportunity to leverage the audience he attracted by falsely claiming Mr. Brody planted evidence on innocent suspects to promote his own exaggerated accomplishments as a city college computer technician. At the same time, Bouzy could not resist the opportunity for self-promotion, despite being aware, by virtue of his previous posts about Mr. Brody's work history, that even if his false and defamatory claims about Mr. Brody's conduct as a law enforcement officer had been true, they could not have occurred, quote, at the same time as Bouzy's supposedly pioneering work, quote, building networks at a city college years earlier.
The cease and desist letter Bouzy blows up. The same day, Mr. Brody, through counsel, transmitted a letter to Bouzy by email and FedEx demanding he cease and desist from defaming Mr. Brody, retract his false claims, and delete any defamatory tweets still online, a true copy of which is attached. The C&D demand also clearly advised Bouzy that Bouzy's false and defamatory characterization of Mr. Brody's supposed admissions of planting evidence were false and defamatory, stating as follows. You're advised, to the extent that you understood Mr. Brody to be admitting to the felonies of planting and falsifying evidence to be actual admissions of unlawful conduct by him, that understanding is manifestly incorrect. In fact, no civilian complaint or accusation was ever lodged against Mr. Brody for any infraction, including mishandling evidence, in connection with arrest in his 10-year law enforcement career, during which time he was also never written up, that is, given departmental infraction, for any misconduct whatsoever. Bouzy responds with a series of tweets, one of which is considered a direct and contemptuous response to demands in the C&D demand, two of which are reproduced below. That makes it easy for everyone. I received a demand letter on behalf of Bot Sentinel myself, and I comply. So let's fast forward to filing a lawsuit. Just like the court, previous lawsuit shouldn't be taken seriously. Bypass the whole cease and desist process. Just file the grift suit because we won't comply with whatever's in the letter. Bot Sentinel will continue to track parliamentary Twitter accounts and publish reports. I'm Christopher Bouzy. Other Bouzy tweets made after he received the C&D demand made a point of repeating his false and defamatory claim that Mr. Brody made a video admitting he falsified evidence when he was a cop, as shown below.
New former New York cop and assistant district attorney Nathaniel Brody is threatening to sue Bot Sentinel and me because we posted a video of him admitting to falsifying evidence when he's a cop. He's not trying to raise $30,000. Here's the video again. Hi, I'm Christopher Bouzy. I love videos news like future.
Another tweet Bouzy broadly suggested, again falsely, that although the cease and desist demand advised Bouzy that no civilian complaint or accusation was ever lodged against Mr. Brody for his conduct during his career in law enforcement, Bouzy had information contrary, as shown below. What the fuck? I missed this one.
Wait, so hang on. Another tweet by Bouzy, broadly false. Demand Bouzy, no civilian complaint or accusation was ever lodged against Mr. Bouzy for misconduct during his career in law enforcement. Mr. Bouzy had information to the contrary, as shown below. Spotless record at campus at CUNY. Spoiler alert. Brody admitted the felonies. That's a calculator in some other person's hand. This is his tweet, I think, or someone else commenting about it.
No, he's quoting the cease and desist letter.
Is he?
Yeah. His tweet is a picture of the cease and desist letter telling him it's not true, and then he says lol.
Spoiler alert, laugh. Oh, you little.
I missed that tweet. I missed that one. Chris Bouzy did eventually block me, so I missed that one.
He blocked everybody. Like I share. I think
it took him a while to get to me.
Shirt.
It took him a while to get to me.
Oh, I don't like this man.
Other false and defamatory tweets tweeted by Bouzy after he received this cease and desist demand include the following. Nathan Lawyer, LawTube, and Caroline Bueno, a social science researcher who claims Bot Sentinel used technology based on her work, started a coordinated smear campaign against Bot Sentinel in September.
And the funny thing is, this is where we kind of drop out on the info because he blocked everybody. He blocked everyone to the point where nobody can see what this guy is saying. Like
Professional liars go ahead.
Mrs. Hoglaw, she texted me and she was like, what does this guy have against plants? Because that's what she posts. She posts pictures of plants, and Bouzy blocked her.
Professional liars like Nate the Lawyer prey on people who lack critical thinking skills. What? Nathaniel Brody bragged to his YouTube videos about illegally obtaining my social security numbers. What? Another series of Bouzy tweets consisted of false claims or suggestions by Bouzy that Mr. Brody was stealing or making personal use of donations collected by him for legal fees in this action by using illustrations of a black man pocketing a wad of cash.
What a piece of shit.
One describing donors as gullible suckers who donated to a legal fund, set off by square quotes, and a third describing Browdy as an opportunistic grifter or fraudster.
All right.
What?
These deserve to be read. These deserve to be read, not in the Bouzy voice, because I haven't seen these.
Christopher Bouzy writes, we're going to need more popcorn with a picture of a black guy in a suit and tie
With
stuffing money in his pocket. Christopher Bouzy writes, Nathaniel Brody didn't stop at only reinvigorating his YouTube channel. His channel's doing fine, Chris. He also figured out he could convince a bunch of global suckers to donate to his legal fund by promising he would stop Bot Sentinel and me, comparing his Twitter file back in May to now. I told you Nate the Lawyer was an opportunistic grifter, and now he's making videos about Meghan Markle because his channel's views of what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, he's an idiot. Like, his channel views have evaporated? What are you talking? Look, 1.6, so 1,600 views 23 minutes ago. That's the one he highlighted. I'm sorry. 1,600 views in 23 minutes since posting? How is that evaporating? This guy's a moron.
Another
That's an
Bouzy tweet
opinion.
along these lines, dated October 6th, stated that after raising money for legal fees to pursue this action, all he's accomplished is take money from people and make himself richer. All the foregoing statements were published and are false and defamatory. Wow. I've missed like the back half of this since I was banned. I missed a lot of this shit.
Fair. First claim for relief. Defamation per quad. Is that per se?
Regular defamation.
I don't like per quad. Why do we say
No, I
this
don't.
stuff?
I don't like per quad either. I don't like it.
Plaintiff incorporates, yada, yada. Statements and others were also false. False statements published concerning were communicated to third parties. False statements alleged, no, they were false. Has been harmed and it's not remedy, will continue to cause harm. Basically just the elements. These are the elements of defamation.
Yeah.
Second claim.
Per se form because it goes to his reputation. Yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
Yeah. Next.
False light tort.
False
What
light?
is that? Oh, portrayal in a false light. Portrayal in a false light. Sorry. That's still a tort? Is this federal court?
No, this is state. It's formatted like a federal pleading, which I do appreciate personally.
It's clean. But the false light claim, I guess, is still in that's in New Jersey. Is this in New Jersey or New York? New
Jersey. Yeah.
Okay. So false light claim. Okay. So New Jersey still has that. Claims that about his ethical credibility and competence. Yes. Harm done to him, remedy to continue damage. Correct. Intentional interference with prospective business advantage. Tortious interference with business expectancy. Same thing. Basically, you did a thing that inhibits my ability to carry out contracts that I otherwise would have been guaranteed. You interrupted and disrupted intentionally my commerce and my commercial gains. Therefore, you are sued. Same thing. All of the elements
Yeah.
stated above as part of the campaign, social media platforms to restrict, eliminate, and to limit, restrict, eliminate his access or ability to profit from publication or content platforms. Wherefore, here we go, Nate. What are you asking for? Award him. Oh, I'd like this. Thank you, Ron, for doing this. This is how a smart attorney does this. You don't list the dollar figure.
No.
Because people then can go out and say they're suing me for 50 million or 1 million or 2 million or whatever it is. You just say this: awarding him compensatory damages to the extent allowed by law in an amount to be proved at trial. Perfect. Perfect. Just say, give me money. I will prove how much when we get to trial.
Yeah.
Love it.
Unless you need it for a
Award-
jurisdictional reason. Yeah, that's fine.
I know. Awarding him punitive damages to the extent permitted by law. Also perfect. Ordering retractions. Okay. To arrange for and purchase corrective advertising. Ooh, I like this one.
Yeah. That's nice.
To arrange for and purchase corrective advertising in such a form and in such a publications as media and as shall be determined by the court. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Additional compensation and awarding attorney's fees. Signed, Ronald D. Coleman.
Yeah.
Different certifications, and I imagine these are exhibits of all of the tweets.
Yeah.
There they are. Mr. Bouzy. Look at this. So here's the, let me zoom back out. Zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. These are all of the tweets. This is how much Nate got under this guy's skin.
Yeah.
These are tweets about Nate. Look at all these.
Yeah.
That's 1 page, 2 page, 3 page, 4 page. And for those of you listening, the pages I'm describing are 3 tweets across and 3 tweets down. So each page is 9 total tweets. 5 page, 6 page. That's the letter. Additional tweets. This one.
Wow.
I was disgusted when I saw this thing.
I
get
missed
tweeted.
this one.
I was disgusted when I saw this get tweeted. Like I almost wanted to vomit. So for those of you who are listening and do not see this, by the way, this is Christopher Bouzy retweeting his own tweet. So here's the retweet. By the way, Nate the lawyer is trying to shame me because my family and I went through hell for months because of an unscrupulous landlord. The tweet that he is tweeting: I wrote a thread about my family's horrific experience with moving to a new apartment and how we were scammed and then made to feel as if we were overreacting. No matter how successful people of color become, there are still people who believe they can whip us into submission. Quite literally, this man put a picture up, and I believe this was a GIF of someone being whipped. And he retweeted that and saying Nate the lawyer was trying to shame Nate, trying to shame him. Like
that's Roots, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Or Roots. Yeah, that's Roots. And there we have it. So, dramatic reading of the lawsuit of Nate Brody versus Christopher Bouzy.